Hey, welcome into Inside Toppers Baseball. I'm Cody Shook alongside Coach Burglar here. We got a lot to go over today. We're going to be recapping our past week, and we're going to be previewing our upcoming weekend here. So let's jump on it. And Ethan Estes had a great weekend. He had 8 hits, he scored 5 runs, 3 steals, and 13 putouts. What do you got to say about him?
I hate to say it's about time with a kid like Ethan Estes, but we knew how good he was, and what we ran into last year was just the freshman nerves. You know, we started him in game 1, and then a few weeks into the season, we had to back it off and go to some upperclassmen. And what we've learned over the last 4 years is incoming freshmen struggle hitting the baseball. College pitching is 10 times better than what they think it is, and a year off, not a year off, but a year in the wings and a development year for Ethan Estes has paid off big time. I think right now he's leading us in average. He's one of the top hitters in the conference. He's only got 1 error, and I think that was, again, you know, he struggles going to his left. It's the hardest play in baseball for a second baseman. But right now he's our team MVP. When he comes to the plate, I have a good feeling. And I haven't had that feeling in a while, so that's fun to have for somebody that's in the bottom part of your order.
Now, when you say something like that, they struggle. A freshman comes in and struggles hitting the ball. Do you think that's maybe occurring to Jameson Murray? I mean, you did give him a start, and he's struggled hitting the ball, and Nolan Marcus has taken over at third base. But do you think Jameson Murray will have the same thing as Ethan Estes?
I don't think it's quite all that with Jameson. I think with Jameson, it's new atmosphere. It's a new setting. You know, as a transfer, I don't know whether he'll admit it or not, but there's some nerves there. I can see it. I think he may admit to that, you know, at the plate and defensively, but he'll be fine. It's just a matter of getting used to these 45 guys, and you know, he missed some time with an injury, and when you're not in the locker room, you're the odd man out, and that may be the case with him. He's just got to work his way back into the system, and he'll be fine.
All right, now moving on to the pitcher of the week. Sean Perry pitched a 7-inning complete game shutout against Glenville State.
No way.
Only given, yeah, I was shocked too. Only gave up 3 hits and had 6 strikeouts. He did walk 2 batters and he hit 2 batters. Can you elaborate on him?
It's about time. You know, for 2 years now, every time Sean Perry gets a chance to have a pitcher's BP shutout or keep a 1-hitter or just finish a game, he can't do it. And that was a big thing for me. You know, I looked him straight in the eye and said, "Are we here?" Just to, you know, he said he wanted it. He wanted the baseball in the 7th because I was going to take it from him. But he said, "No, Coach, I want this." And he finally finished the game. I'm proud of him, actually. He's come a long way. He used to take those 5-8 warm-up pitches in between innings and just jack them around. And that used to just irritate the shit out of me. And he knows it. And now he takes it a little more serious, and it's starting to pay off for him. He's a good weekend starter for us.
All right, and 2 weeks ago we played Ohio Valley University, where we won 7-6 in a 9-inning ball game. We scored 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th to win it. Can you elaborate on that game?
Not our sharpest game, obviously. Again, you know, we're getting to a point with some pitchers that have been in the system for 2 or 3 years that they're coming in. And free bases are killing us at this point. You know, we had a 2-run inning. They had a 2-run inning and a 4-run inning, both on fairly veteran pitchers in my eyes. You know, once you're in the system a year, you're a veteran. And there was some defensive stuff on their end that helped us out. I don't know that we actually won that game. I think it was kind of handed to us. You know, that's why I said enjoy it, because a walk-off's always fun, but in my eyes, I saw more negatives that day than anything. And I think when we go back to Ohio Valley in a week, they're going to have some revenge on their mind, because they're a pretty good ball club. And we beat a good team that day that we probably shouldn't have won that day, but that's the way it works sometimes.
And you brought up free bases. Now let's get into the pitching staff here. 46 walks in 7 games. We had 10 walks against Seton Hill yesterday, where we just lost. And we've hit 7 batters in 7 games. What's going on with the pitching staff? How do we fix it? What's the next step?
My honest opinion is I think their gym time jack-around sessions is catching up to them. You know, I started attending the bullpens, and I didn't like what I saw all winter. And guys get frustrated when guys like Mark Smith and Greg Stegani yell at them. You know, why is Smitty being mean to me? Well, this is why now. We now know why. We can now see the guys that don't put their time in, and that goes from running to taking a bullpen serious. Now you come into a game, 2 free bases, and then a bomb. The score is now 8-5, and it was just 8-2. And then next thing you know, it's 8-7, and then they're up 11-8. We can't defend free bases, and if these pitchers that we have that are coming out of the bullpen can't throw strikes, maybe it's time for them to go.
Well, we see that the hitters are now catching up to what the pitching staff used to be. The hitters are finally starting to hit the ball and score runs. Charleston, we scored 11 runs in the first game, 8 runs in the second game. We put up good numbers in our weekend series. So, talk about the hitters. I mean, they're doing a great job.
Yeah, they're catching up. I think the Charleston Glenville series, I don't know if we were caught up then, even though we scored a lot of runs. But yesterday against Seton Hill, I actually saw some good at-bats for a change. You know, guys not swinging at marginal strikes when they're ahead or at neutral counts. In the Glenville and Charleston series, I still saw some bad swings in bad situations. We're not a very good situational hitting team, and I keep saying that we're going to be. And watching the game yesterday, in the mood that I was in, because I didn't say much, I just sat there and watched because I was so frustrated with our pitching staff. I saw some good at-bats yesterday, from the top to the bottom, and it's going to pay off for these guys if they just work the system and start to realize that they can hit at this level, especially some of these seniors. You know, a guy like Jordan Meyer who's struggling right now, I feel sorry for the pitcher that he explodes on, because he's going to get it here soon.
Mm-hmm. And Seton Hill is a very good team, and they are ranked in the nation, correct?
Yeah, some polls have them at 17. Some polls have them down in the 20s. But they're a very good team. Yesterday, it's funny because after the game, Coach Marizaldi and I, we walk up behind the plate, and that's typical midweek baseball at this level. 15-13. You're not throwing your weekend guys. Sometimes if it's a bullpen day, you might see them, but that's typical midweek baseball. And yesterday was, we out-hit them. But their pitchers threw more strikes than ours did. You can't give Seton Hill 10 free bases. We kept them to 3 stolen bases yesterday, and one of those was the back end of a double steal. So we did our job on the bases and defensively. Now we just got to throw strikes.
Right, because the hitting showed up. All weekend, aside from the Concord series that you're going to touch on right now, we lost both games. We lost basically a heartbreaker. We lost 4-5, and we lost 10-1. So can you touch on what happened there? Did we just run out of steam? Where'd the bats go? And I know the pitchers didn't throw strikes, but we only gave up 5 runs in the first game. So what happened there?
Well, we weren't in that first game. It was 5-1 going to the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing can happen in that last inning until the tying runs in the on-deck circle. And we got to that point, and we made a ball game out of it. But so if you look at it from that standpoint, then, a ball that's skipped over the catcher's head from a third baseman, a ball that's thrown 200 yards down into the woods from a first baseman, those little things in the game of baseball start costing you. And then when you add 6 walks in game 1, and 13 in game 2, we didn't deserve to win either one of those games. And I don't care who's pitching. That was, if it was the last guy on our roster that threw all day, and if you're going to give that many free passes to a team like Concord, who is just going to smash a fastball, when you pitch behind to them, you're going to lose. It's going to happen.
So with those out-of-conference games, the Seton Hill game, the Ohio Valley game, what did you take away from that? What are you moving forward with? What are you going to do next?
Well, I've cut our bullpen down a lot. There's guys that I have faith in, and there's guys that I've lost total faith in, and they're going to realize it. We now have a 28-man active roster coming to these weekend series. There's going to be some guys that aren't going to be on it, some veterans. If you don't get it by now, I'm sorry, I can't use you. That's just, the coach told me the other day, if when I go home, I grab the remote to my TV, I hit the power button, I expect the TV to come on, and if that doesn't happen, I change the batteries. I don't go buy a new remote, I change the batteries, and that's what's going to happen in our bullpen. We're going to change some batteries.
Mm-hmm. All right, now can you talk about the substitutions that you guys make late in the game? I mean, you guys have pinch runners, pinch hitters all over the place, new guys subbing in and out constantly. Can you just talk about that, the confidence you have for a lot of the guys on the roster on that side?
Well, it works in our favor. It really does, because we've got some veteran guys that don't quite have some speed. You know, so when we get later in the game, we're able to run for them on multiple occasions. And what it does too is it allows me to get those freshmen into games. You know, a kid like Eric Banal, Nate Bakaitis, Chris Felina, you know, they've been in 6, 7 games already, and it may not be a lot, but they know what's expected of them now. The nerves are gone. They know what to do. And now it's just a matter of they earn their spot into a weekend role, that's all. And it may be a year, maybe 2, but we're working them in, and we're able to do that as deep as we are.
Alrighty, now this weekend we play Concord and UVA-Wise for conference games now. And Concord is 5-10 on the season, but they're batting .306 as a team, and their team ERA is over 7. What are we going to do differently this weekend to take 2 from them, because they just took 2 from us?
We better throw strikes. But they're also going to see some better pitchers this weekend. They're going to see Mark and Greg, our 1 and 2, probably 2 of the better pitchers in the conference in my eyes. They both mix it up well. You know, Greg's finally got some off-speed stuff to go with that nasty fastball, and Smitty's a bulldog. We know that. He's going to come in with that changeup and a slider and keep him off guard. That's what we learned a little bit from Concord. Change-up sliders. Mm-hmm. You know, we can compete with them. But when we pitch behind and have to throw fastballs, they're going to put it to us. You know, all their hitters, they're all pretty much the same. They get a little bit wider. They have short, quick hands, short power stroke, and they hit it hard. I mean, they go gap to gap. They don't beat you down the lines much, but they will beat you in the gap if we don't play them.
Alrighty, then UVA-Wise on Saturday, they're 9-5 on the season, and their team batting average is .294, and they have an ERA close to 5. So what are we going to do to them? So we got to win. We got to win some ball games this weekend. What are we going to do? What are you taking from last season against that team, because we split with them, correct? And then what are we going to do to really maybe win 3 out of 4 this week?
Well, they're going to see 3 and 4. They're going to see Yale and Sean, which means they're going to see some pretty good pitching. So far, Sean has been a bright spot for me, because Sean and I battle a little bit mentally, you know, where he's at all the time with the game. Yale's Yale. He gets out there sometimes, but if he comes in throwing strikes, and I think it was pointed out to me earlier today that he's only hit 2 batters so far. So that's a plus, because I think at this time last year he may have been at 11. But obviously we're going to throw more strikes against them than we have been. They've got a pretty good catcher, so I don't know how much we're going to be able to steal. We're going to see, I would imagine they're 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. We're going to see their weekend guys too. UVA-Wise is a big question to me, because I don't know much about them. You know, I know that they're pretty good. They beat some pretty good teams. You know, we went 3 out of 4 with St. Augs, and they swept St. Augs. So we'll see where UVA-Wise is. I would imagine they're a lot better than they were last year.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, well, that'll do it for this episode of Inside Toppers Baseball. Be sure to follow us on Twitter @Toppers Baseball for live game updates and when we'll be posting new YouTube videos.